All right, here we go. Let's get to it. About to dive right in. Let me copy this right here. I want to send this out to some folks, and then we're going to get the We're going to get Instagram going, and we're going to talk about procrastination, right? Overcoming, defeating, kicking procrastination out of your life. That's what we're talking about right now. Right now, that's what we're about to talk about. So give me just a moment. I want to send this to a couple of my folks, and then we're going to dive right on in. So let's close that. All right, here we are. Had to get back to standing up today. That sitting down was not working for me. So anyway, I just want to send this out to some folks, and we're going to dive right on in. And then we're going to jump on the gram. Appreciate your patience with this. But, till I figure out a different way to do this, tis what it is. So anyway, all right, here we go. Talking about overcoming, conquering, winning, defeating procrastination. I'm going to send this out to a couple folks over here on the gram. And we're going to dive right in and do the thing. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, yeah, Big Mike. I know what he's doing. Congrats to him. All right. Shout that out to a couple of folks. So we're going to talk about defeating procrastination. That's what we're going to talk about today. Overcoming, conquering, defeating, ridding ourselves of procrastination. That's the mission for today, right? Give me 1 second here. Let me just plug that in here. I need some music to play. Good. What is it? Morning? It's afternoon where I am. Good afternoon. We're talking about defeating procrastination today. Let's put this thing behind us. This thing that seems to haunt so many of us. This thing that we have a weird relationship with. We're gonna go ahead and rid ourselves of it. Let's see here. We're going to change our relationship with it, and then we're going to rid ourselves of it. You need this good. Well, then you're in the right place. It wasn't by chance that you stumbled across this video. So we're going to dive in. I'm going to wait a few more seconds. I sent it out to a few folks. Any questions, please throw them in there. I'll gladly answer any questions that you have. But again, we're going to talk about overcoming or defeating procrastination because it's something that is literally killing our dreams, right? It's choking the life out of our dreams, out of our goals, out of our relationships, right? Out of our pursuits, whatever it is that we have in front of us in life. We are allowing, right? Notice the language. We are allowing procrastination to bully us, right? We're choosing procrastination. We have a habit of procrastinating, and it's really getting in the way. So we're going to talk about how to, smack it around and stop it from smacking us around. That's what we're going to talk about today. Let me tell you, these allergies this past couple of weeks, beating me down like it's nobody's business. But keep it pushing. Got to keep going. Throat feels like it's closing on me. Bags under my eyes looking crazy. But we keep it pushing, right? So I'm going to dive right in. I'm going to wait. Actually, give me a few more seconds. I need to send this to my man. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and get started. Got a question over here. All right, cool. All right, too easy. There's my guy, SJ, the man, the myth, the legend, out there doing big things. Can't wait for us to connect. Thank you. I appreciate that. Means a lot because woo, they've been beating me up. So thank you. That means a lot. Absolutely. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump into it. Gotta catch the replay, folks. Waited a couple minutes. So procrastination, right? Let's dive into what procrastination is, right? So anytime I'm tackling a subject, right, what I've learned to do is to define it and then redefine it and then attack it, right? Because anything in our lives, we the way forward is to always, oh, awesome, 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 awesome. Anything in our lives that is a challenge for us, that's a test for us, anything that's an quote unquote issue or concern for us, once we're able to change our relationship to it, once we're able to redefine it, then then it changes our whole approach, our whole perspective, or as I like to say, our whole or our entire relationship with it. So once we change our relationship with a thing, then we can look at it from a different vantage point, and we can and we can attack it from different angles, right? So let's look at that, right? So procrastinate, right? Delay or postpone action, to put off doing something, right? We all understand what procrastination is, right? We pretty much understand what we're doing when we procrastinate. So what do we do with that, right? How do we move forward, or what does it actually mean? So let's clear up a couple things, because a lot of us in our minds, and I was, this was me, I was guilty of this in the past. I associated procrastination with laziness, right? And I've come to understand that this is not so, right? Laziness is normally just like you're unwilling, right? You don't even want to get in the game, right? You resign to, whatever it is that you're doing. You resign to staying in your present space, and whatever the thing is, you don't even have a desire. You're not even willing to even go after it. With procrastination, what we normally do is we get busy versus productive, right? We start to do other things to fill the space of the thing that we actually need to, and here's a word I don't use often, but should be doing, right? And I'm saying should because you said you wanted to do that, but every time it's time to do that, right, you substitute that with something else. So here's what it usually looks like, right? All right. All right, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write. I'm going to write for an hour. I'm going to write 10 pages for my new book. Okay, cool. You go to sit down. Oh man, I need something to drink. Of course, I can't sit down and write. I don't want to get halfway into it and then I get thirsty and I have to stop. We say cool stuff like that, right? So go downstairs, go to get you something to drink, and you notice a couple dirty dishes. Well, you can't leave those dirty dishes in the sink. Come on, you're better than that, right? You're a high quality individual. You're not going to grab something to drink and just look at those dirty dishes. So you go ahead and wash those dishes, right? Then you go ahead and clean the counters off. And this is your most thorough kitchen cleaning ever. You don't never do everything. You can clean the stove, clean the counters off. Then once you do that, you didn't did the little ghetto thing we do, knock a couple crumbs on the floor. Now you're going to grab the broom and sweep. Then you're going to go ahead and might as well get the Swiffer and hit it up. Now, your writing hour, you spent it cleaning up the kitchen. You don't even like cleaning up the kitchen. But it was less, it was simpler. It was easier for you. It was easier for you to go ahead and clean up that kitchen than it was to sit down and write. So procrastination usually shows up like that. So it can be kind of tricky, right? So it's not laziness. Laziness, again, is usually unwilling, right? Here's another thing that procrastination is usually masked as perfectionism, right? We have to stop living that lie, right? Come on. We're not perfectionists. Like, let's be serious. We're perfectionists with that particular thing or that particular handful of things, right? We're not perfectionists in every area of our lives. That perfectionism is basically a child of fear, right? And now, mind you, I'm not talking about that 1% of people who literally really are, but for the vast majority of us, when we're hiding behind that, I need it to be perfect, I just want it to be right, we're afraid, right? We're afraid. And so that's a great point, and I'm gonna come back to that. That's a really great point, actually, both of you. It's also us negotiating with ourselves, exactly, and we're choosing the easier path, or the lesser of two evils, or the thing that seems simpler to us, right? So we got those things out of the way. So procrastination, right? What it really is stress relief. That's what I've come to understand. When we procrastinate, what we're doing is we're relieving our stress. The stress that we associate with doing the thing that we need, want, should do, right? It starts to wear on us. And what we do is we transfer that energy into something else because we're trying to avoid that stress. And we need to relieve the stress of doing that thing. And so we find ourselves doing something else, something that we associate less stress to, or that we associate pleasure with, right? So procrastination is a form of stress management. So when I look at it like that, again, it changes the whole dynamic of how I move forward. It changes the dynamic of how I handle things, how I look at myself, how I move through situations, right? How I show up. Because now I understand that, okay, if I find myself washing dishes when I should be writing, right? If I find myself, making up stuff to do, what I'm doing is I'm attempting to relieve the stress of sitting down on my butt for an hour and writing, whatever that may look like. I have decided that it's easier, AKA less stressful for me to wash the dishes, in our example, clean the kitchen top to bottom, right? That's less stressful. That actually relieves the stress of me wanting to sit down and write, the fear of sitting down and attempting to write for an hour. Because again, what's going on here? And that negotiation, showing a great point, it's like, okay, what we do is we trick ourselves and we'll do something good, like clean the kitchen. Our kitchen needs to be clean, right? We'll do something good to feed ourselves, right? And try to trick ourselves that we're being productive when we're just really being busy, right? The kitchen would have been okay. You could have cleaned it after you did your writing, right? So when we understand that procrastination is a form of stress management, then we have to say, okay, let's look at stress and how I handle and how I manage stress, right? Let's take a look at that, because when this pressure or this stress shows up in my life, I'm deciding that instead of dealing with it, I'm going to detour and go do something else. And what sucks is we always end up beating ourselves up. We always end up upset with ourselves. And what we do is we damage our self-esteem and our self-image when we do this, because what we tell ourselves is that we're not worthy and we're not capable of executing on the thing that we said we were going to do. So every time we do this, we're voting against ourselves, right? We're acting against ourselves, which is diminishing and damaging our relationship with ourselves, and damaging our reputation with ourselves. Because one of the definitions of self-esteem is the reputation that we acquire with ourselves based on our decisions and how we interact with the world. So based on the decisions that we make and how we move through the world, that's how we develop our reputation with ourselves. And when we don't show up for ourselves, when we don't manage our stress well, when we don't keep our word to ourselves, what we're doing is we're damaging our self-esteem. We're lowering our image of ourselves. And that is keeping us in a goofy cycle, and our self-esteem and self-image is going down every time we do that. It's becoming more and more unhealthy, right? It's really, really damaging to ourselves, and it impacts every area of our lives. So Let me hit these comments, and then we're going to jump into some things that we can do to fight. Problem is, we actually think we have time, and we push it off until tomorrow. Is not exactly. So yeah. So that's one of those things, right? I always I challenge myself with this all the time, and I challenge other people as well. I say, people that procrastinate, you're arrogant. Like, the audacity of you to put something off until tomorrow, as if you just know you're going to be able to get to it at a later date. That's pretty arrogant of you. And I put it in that I put it in that sort of context to push my own buttons, right? To really check myself, because I never want to come across as that, because that's not who I am. And what it does is it really challenges me to say, wow, you know what? Yeah, like, if I can do it now, why not do it now? Right? What's stopping me from doing it now? And it really opens me up to really to handle the thing I need to handle, because how dare I be that arrogant to say I'll get to it when I get to it? Like, who said I'm ever going to be able to get to it? Especially when I have a reputation of I have this momentum going for me, that where I always vote against myself. So absolutely, right? Let's see. Then here comes the guilt, more stress. Bingo, exactly. So it keeps piling on. And then we find ourselves just like, just trapped in a corner somewhere, and we're trying to figure out how to get out. And our comfort zone is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. The walls are closing in around us. And then we start looking around at what other people are doing. And then we start getting into the comparison trap. And then we start beating ourselves up. And then we're just adding, as you said, more and more stress, and it begins to pile on. And it's like, and then we start to question ourselves, and then we start to question our identity. And then we start to question our purpose and question our vision. Is that vision really for me? I know that's what I was feeling, right? I know I said that was my purpose. I wanted to do this, but since I didn't show up the last 99 times I was supposed to show up, maybe I heard wrong. Maybe what I felt was incorrect. And we start to question our entire being, right? And it's all because we haven't come up with a strategy, right, to manage our stress. We haven't invested in ourselves, right, enough. We haven't done the work to develop that healthy self-esteem and that strong and healthy self-image, which is the root of everything in our lives, literally everything. So let's look at that, right? So what do we do? What do we do? Where do we start, right? What's the process look like? So obviously there's a lot of different ways that this can go, but for me, I always begin where I'm going to begin, right? The first thing I say is we have to learn to honor ourselves, right? First thing I tell people, honor yourself. And they're like, well, what does that mean? Honor yourself. Okay. Well, honor yourself. That's the first thing that we must learn to do. Well, what does that mean? So honor is defined as high respect, great esteem. High respect, great esteem. Do you treat yourself with high respect and great esteem if you have a habit of procrastinating, right? That's a personal question that we all have to answer. We all have to really deal with and be honest with ourselves. So think about it. There are people in the world who we have a high amount of respect and great esteem for, right? Using the definition, right? Who we have honor for, right? And if we need to learn to treat ourselves the way we would treat those people, right? Our heroes, those people we look up to, those people that we see as great, those people that we love so much and that we just put on a pedestal. We have to learn to interact with ourselves the way that we would interact with them, right? We have to look at ourselves with that honor. So that's where we always have to begin, right? We have to learn to treat ourselves with that respect, right? With that kindness. So think about it, right? Get someone in your mind who you have a lot of respect for, right? Who you really put on a pedestal, who you really see as an amazing human being, right? If you had an interaction with them coming, right? If you had to pick up that person from the airport, or if that person was coming to the crib to spend some time with you, or you were going to meet that person for dinner, right? You wouldn't just haphazardly show up, right? You would prepare, right? You would make sure you were groomed properly, right? You would make sure you freshened up. You would put a lot of energy and attention and effort into your outfit, right? You would show up. Your interaction with that person would be polite. It would be respectful, right? You would be prompt. You'd be, if they told you to meet at the restaurant, or if their flight landed at 7, you wouldn't be, at 7:26, oh, I'm 10 minutes away. You wouldn't violate them like that. You'd be there early, sitting in the lot somewhere, or doing laps around the airport, waiting for them to tell you that they've landed and they're at door number 6, right? and you would keep your word to that person, right? If they asked you to do this, you would do this, right? If they gave you this particular assignment to do, you would execute on that particular thing. So why is it that when it comes to us, right, we don't do the preparation, right? Why aren't we polite and respectful to ourselves, right? Why aren't we prompt when it comes to showing up for ourselves? Why is it so easy for us not to keep our word to ourselves, right? We make a promise to ourselves, we make a declaration, and then we don't show up. We don't keep our word. So let me throw this in, and I'm gonna get your comment. Someone asked me once, hope I can find a video. I made a video about it. But anyway, someone asked me, how do you measure it, right? You're always talking about loving yourself and honoring yourself. And how do I know? How do I measure it? And my answer was, well, first of all, it's a really good question, because there's no quiz for it, or not that I'm aware of. And if it is, it would have to be. Anyway, so my answer was, you can measure your level of self-love by how easy or difficult it is for you not to keep your word to yourself. That was a mouthful. Let me try to say it again. The way you can measure or gauge your self-love, your image of yourself, right, is how easy is it for you to lie to yourself, right? How challenging is it for you to keep your word to yourself, right? Because those people that you love and respect and that you hold in such high regard, there's not even an option for you not to show up when they need you or want you to show up. It's not even an option, right? You'll run through a brick wall for certain people, right? Because of where you hold them in your mind, right? For whatever reason, right? Not that the reasons aren't valid, right? It's okay to have respect and esteem for people. I would hope so, right? But what's also okay, and what we need to learn, is how to have that respect and esteem for ourselves. And this is the challenge for each of us, right? This is where transformation begins. This is how we break curses, right? This is how we shake off our past. This is how we have a quantum leap. This is how we transform our lives. This is how we become a higher expression of ourselves, right? Let's see. This is a challenge in itself. Sad to say, I think of ourselves in high regard. I think we treat ourselves in a manner that is shameful. Exactly, because again, we have throughout our lives, right? We've lied to ourselves so often, right? We've not kept our word to ourselves. We've had a thought to speak up and we didn't speak up. We wanted to do this and then we didn't do that. There's so many checks or so many points that go against us, right? So our reputation with ourselves is damaged. It's tainted. And so it's just like a person in your life, right? If we have a weekly meeting and I'm always late, right? My reputation is what? I'm always late. Like, the proof is in the pudding, right? So you're not making up the fact that I'm late. You're not a hater by calling me late, right? So my reputation is I'm always late. So with ourselves, your reputation is you don't keep your word to yourself. Your reputation is you don't speak up for yourself. You don't see yourself as valuable. You don't see yourself as worthy. Because if you did, dot, dot, dot. And we tell ourselves these stories and we create this image of ourselves. And from that image that we create, based on the decisions that we make every day of our lives, that determines how we see ourselves, which determines how we show up, which determines how we treat ourselves, which determines, how we see or don't see our value, right? So to your point, it is shameful, right? But it's understandable because most of it we didn't know, right? We all have a story. We all have our reasons why why we made the decisions that we made and how we got to this point. So the big boy and big girl thing to do is to acknowledge where we are and begin to learn how to honor ourselves, right? How would I treat someone who I who I had high respect and great esteem for, right? And if I can picture that, if I can imagine that, those same behaviors, that same attitude, how they say keep that same energy, I apply that to me, right? So we can identify it because we have people in our lives who we hold in high regard, who we're going to treat a certain way, who if they walk in the room, our behavior is going to change, how we move is going to change, how we speak is going to change, right? Everything is going to change when certain people walk in the room. So we have it in us to do it, but what we have to do is we have to change our image of ourselves, right? The way we see them in this particular light, we have to do the work so that we can begin to see ourselves in a similar light. So that's the big challenge, right? Is learning to honor ourselves, right? Learning how to treat ourselves like we would treat someone who we hold in high regard, right? Again, honor is defined as high respect, great esteem. So we have to learn how to treat ourselves as such. So that's the first thing, because why is that so important? Because the easiest way to build up your self-esteem and self-image is to keep your word to yourself. Keep your word to yourself. People ask me, how do you just start keeping your word to yourself? If you say you're going to, drink the juice, drink the juice. It's really that simple. If you say you're going to make the call, make the call. If you say you're going to walk a mile, walk the mile. If you say you're going to make your bed, make your bed. It's literally, I'm making it sound simple, and I tend to oversimplify things because it is that simple. It's often not easy because life has kicked our butt and we have so much crap, right, going on in our minds and going on all, you know what I mean? So we have to work through that. But the simple way forward is keep your word to yourself. And I'm telling you, it changes everything. If you say you're going to get up and go for a walk, and then you actually get up and go for that walk, it does something magical to you, right? Because what happens is you start to build momentum, and then you start to see yourself as the type of person who keeps their word, right? The reason why it's hard for us to declare certain things, right? The reason why it's challenging for us to share our dreams, goals, and desires with the world and say certain things out loud and really put something on paper is because we don't see ourselves as the type of person who can do that. But when we begin to show up, right, then we begin to keep our word to ourselves and we start to get in that rhythm and build that momentum. What we find out is we can start to do bigger things, right? We can go from making our bed to doing this and to doing that, to doing this and to doing that. And then we build that momentum because it's not about the actual thing. It's about you said you were and you did. Go you, right? And you start to build up that reputation, just like if I'm late, and then I say, you know what? I'm going to start being on time. And then I'm on time. And one time I was like, okay, cool. And then twice. And then 3 times. And now 6 months of me being on time. Now my reputation has changed. Now I'm on time. Reese is early. He's always on time. Back in the day, he used to be tripping, man. I used to be like, oh, this dude is always late. But lately, I can't even remember the last time he was late. See, the reputation starts to change. And then now I'm more comfortable making certain promises. I'm more comfortable speaking certain things right out into the atmosphere because I'm developing this healthy reputation with myself that I'm able to trust myself, right? Because if I say something, I am the type of person who actually does what he says. And that's how we build up that image of ourselves, right? But if we keep saying something and then not keeping our word, then every time you say something, you're giving yourself the side eye, like, here you go again. Oh, okay. You gonna do that? Oh, okay. You said you're gonna make your bed too. And we start to remind ourselves because we have that poor reputation. But getting those reps in, building that momentum is life changing. Yes, it is all a part of self-care. And if self-care was better understood, the world would be a much, much, much better place. Because anytime I speak with someone, that's where I go. What are you doing for you? How are you taking care of yourself? What do your days look like? Tell me about your routine for self-care. What's the thing that charges your batteries? And unfortunately, most people are consumed with everyone else's needs, everyone else's desires, everyone else's requests, that they don't invest in themselves. And therein lies the problem. So absolutely, our decisions are based on how we feel about is internally. Most decisions are emotional in nature, so it's all internal. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. If you notice, right, I always talk about managing your emotions. And this is the reason why, right? Depending on your emotional state, depending on how you feel, depending on where you are in the moment, you're going to show a different version of you is going to show up. So you're absolutely right. So wouldn't it benefit my guy? Must be back in the US. Wouldn't it benefit us, right, to really, really govern our emotions, really, really police our mood, right? And really, really do the things that we need to do to ensure that we're in the proper state, right? So it's like, think about it. Think about when you're down and when you're not feeling well and when you just don't have energy and you're famished and this and that and this has stressed you out and blah blah blah. Think about some of the goofy things you do and say, right? When you're not in the zone, right? When you're not yourself. But then think about when you're exercising and you're eating well and you're feeling good and you got the DMX playing and you're in your zone and you're like, yeah, that's a totally different version of you. So as mature adults, right, we have to take responsibility for our mood, right? And I'm using mood for managing our emotions, right? We have to get to the point where we govern our emotions and our emotions do not govern us. That's the biggest challenge because we end up doing things, like you said, we end up making decisions based off of how we feel in the moment. And we honestly, I'm going to say how I feel it. We're acting like teenagers, right? Immature. We're up and down. We're in and out. We're all over the place because our emotions are governing everything in our lives. But I stand here boldly and say, when we take responsibility and become accountable for our own emotions and our mood and how we show up, when we're intentional, when we just like when you're with your wife or your husband or or in your significant other, you play a particular music to set the mood. Just like when I go to the gym in the morning, that's a different soundtrack, right? Just like when I'm over here doing this, it's a different soundtrack. We have to be intentional about the soundtrack of our lives. And we have to be proactive with that, right? The music I play when I'm trying to have an intimate moment with my wife is not the music I listen to at the gym in the morning. It's just not, right? So I take responsibility for that, right? I play a certain music because it puts me in a particular place. So we have to govern our lives like that, right? We have to take responsibility for how we show up. So what? My mood was off. So what? I didn't feel like, right? I don't even feel like it's not even in my vocabulary, right? Because truth be told, I didn't feel like showing up at 12:30 every day all week. I just didn't feel like this. Pollen is kicking my butt. My throat is killing me, right? Look, I'm beat up and rough. Sis said I don't look too bad, so thank you, but I don't look or even feel like myself, right? But guess what? I got up and took my butt to the gym and got that good workout in, and I didn't half step, right? I've been working on my projects and I showed up every day anyway, because feel like is not a part of my vocabulary. I don't feel like. If I wait until feel like, I'll never get anything done. So I'm with you, right? And absolutely, it is hard. But do I want to own it's hard? Okay. Yes, it is definitely challenging. It is definitely challenging. But once we become aware, right? Awareness is key. Once we become aware and we start to change our relationship with certain emotions, and we become intentional, right, about how we show up, then it becomes easy. So right now, maybe it is hard. And yes, self-discipline is the key. Self-discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Anything in your life. We can discipline ourselves to show up anyway, to do the thing anyway, in spite of valid, good, decent, great reasons to not do the thing. You really were tired. Like you were really sleepy, right? So you slept in, but you were supposed to get up and go to the gym, right? But so you really were tired. So that wasn't a lie, right? You really did fail the last 99 times. Okay, right? Self-discipline says I'm gonna show up anyway, right? Listen, I'm so grateful that you guys are on here and you're commenting and all of that. But guess what? I decided I was going to show up. And if no one was here, I was going to just talk to the camera and share this message and put it out there. And whoever it was meant to touch, it would touch at that point, right? It wasn't based on anything else. I could have said, oh, no one's on here, so boom, let me bail. Or I could have said, there's only a handful of people. I'm jumping on there for an hour and pouring out and nobody's watching, so I might as well just no. I got to keep showing up because I said it, and because I feel the growth, right? I know lives are being changed, right? And I know I have my reason for doing this, right? If for nothing else, then because I told myself I would. Again, back to the importance of that. So the first thing, right? We've been went all over the place. I appreciate it though. Honor yourself. Wait, self-care is not a facial mani-pedi. Those are distractions to me. Self-care is about you changing and challenging your internal paradigms and elevate and diagnose your mental state. I love that. So I like to say it like this. Self-care is whatever you say it is, right? It's going to look different for each of us, but it's about making sure exactly. I believe that all of that can be a part of self-care, right? Obviously, those things are important because they make us feel better, and because when we look better, and when how we look matches our story, we feel a little better, we walk a little taller. We got a little extra bop in our step, which again, back to emotions. Then we feel a little differently, and we move differently. We walk in a room differently. So those things matter. But more important is the second half of what you said, which is absolutely right. Changing and challenging your internal thought processes, right? The way you view people, places, and things, the way you view yourself. That's the real self-care, that work, right? But it all fits. And it is whatever you say it is, right? Because some days for me, self-care is turning on Disney Plus and watching Avengers for the 400th time. Some days I need a brain break, right? And I need to really escape, right? I need to turn it off because my mind is always going, right? So some days I need a brain break. So, I want to watch Thor and them do their thing. And that's self-care. But what's also self-care is me pushing myself and me challenging myself and me saying, wow, me not feeling well all week, right? Because I don't really get sick. Me not feeling well, this is a test, right? Me standing up while I'm presenting, this is preparation, right? And this is also a test, right? I feel crappy. I had an amazing workout this morning and I'm feeling it, right? But guess what? I'm standing and I'm delivering and I'm doing what I need to do because this is what I said I was going to do, because this is self-care for me, right? So we have to define it ourselves. So you're absolutely right. Oh man, All these goofy alerts want to keep popping up. I ain't got time for that. Anyway, so the next thing. So honor ourselves. The next thing is be intentional. And we kind of spilled into that as we were talking through honoring ourselves and addressing those great comments, right? Be intentional. What does that mean? Be intentional. We have to set ourselves up to win, right? We have to set ourselves up to win. We have to set up our environment to win, right? We have to examine or audit the people, places, and things in our lives. And we have to make whatever adjustments we need to make to set ourselves up to win, right? We can't just hope that everything aligns and then we're able to move forward. No, that's not going to work. We have to intentionally take responsibility for setting ourselves up to win. We have to create an environment, right, that encourages us to move forward into victory. We have to set ourselves up to win, right? So we have to examine everything, right? I have to have everything in order. Everything that I can control, I must control. I'm not some maniac control freak. What I am is a conscious thinker, right? What I am is a planner. What I'm doing is I'm setting myself up to win, right? In the morning, or excuse me, and in the evening, my whatever I'm wearing to the gym is out and waiting for me, right? Everything from everything from the hoodie to the shirt to the sock, everything is laid out waiting for me, right? My alarm goes off. I have a rule. Rules are having rules that you enforce on yourself is another part of setting yourself up for success. I get up in 10 minutes or less. I get up, I have my moment of gratitude. I think about some things, and I often wake up with ideas. So often I'll go to my notes app and I'm got one eye halfway open and I'm getting that idea out there, that thought, that thing that was in my head when I first got up. And then I get up, right? I don't lay there more than 10 minutes. I get up. Because if I do, then I get too comfortable and my brain, I'll start negotiating with myself, back to what you said, Sean, and then I'm going to lose. If I negotiate, you going to the gym every day. Like, what you trying to do? Trying to win a prize or something? You get some rest. You could take, it's Friday. Take a day off. It's the holiday weekend. You could get my butt up and get in there, gargle, brush, throw my stuff on and get on out the door, right? So, being intentional, right? Setting ourselves up for success. That's what we have to do, right? We absolutely must set ourselves up for success, right? So what's another part of being intentional, right? Hold on, let me hit this. I got another comment. YB Vic, good afternoon. Choose to assign yourself particular tasks, which you will do so that you may practice consistently honoring your own word. Bingo. I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. I love it, right? Again, setting yourself up to win, right? And that's even a part of what we're talking about. So absolutely something that you will do, you will do, right? Something simple, right? Something that you will do, right? Get up in 10 minutes or less. And I know I'm going to do that. I get up. And so I don't, it's not even a thing for me anymore because I've been doing it for a minute. But at first it was a thing. It's like, oh, and I used to get up at 4:17. I used to just wake up on my own. I would just wake up and just be looking around, looking crazy. My alarm was set for 4:30. I have an alarm in my phone for 4:30 a.m. and it says no dad bodies over here. So I would wake up at 4:30. I would look at it and it would say no dad bodies over here. That's when I used to go to the gym. I used to be at the gym at 5 a.m. when the Y opened up. That was before 2020 happened, right? That was my life. So 4:17, I'm waking up thinking I missed something. Like, then I'm like, why am I awake? I could sleep till 4:30. That's when the alarm goes off. But I was boom. And then I'm like, okay. So my 10 minutes was in there and I would actually cut the alarm off because I don't need it. I'm already up, but it was set for 4:30. And what it said on that occasional day when I was still asleep, or when I looked at, or at 4:17, I looked up and then I nodded back off, it would say, it would pop up on my phone, no dad bodies over here. And I would have a giggle and get my butt up. So Whatever you need to do to set yourself up for success, that's what you need to do, right? Here's another thing about being that we're talking about being intentional. Here's another thing here's another part of I get excited, pardon me, and I have 38 thoughts at once. Here's another part of being intentional, right? Here's another tool. Don't start until you're finished. What? Don't start until you're finished. Don't start the day until it's finished. Don't start the week until it's finished. I mean, plan it out. And it doesn't have to be this perfect, beautiful thing, this beautiful outline with it doesn't, but have a plan, have some idea, right? Written down, actually on paper or in your phone, whatever works for you, right? Have something ready, right? Have a plan ready. So I don't go to bed at night until I have a plan. And what I do is I have, okay, what are the three things that are most important for me to get done tomorrow? What are the three most important things? Like, well, you know what? I need to finish this because I really want to put a bow on that. I need to make these 3 calls, or I need to send this many emails, or ... whatever that is, boom. And I leave it there. It could be 33, but I just use 3 because I'm setting myself up to win, right? One of those 3 is always just child's play, right? And usually one of those 3 usually kind of takes care of the other ones, right? Kind of the theme of like the book, The One Thing. So I set myself up for success. So if I have 3 things on my to-do list and I knock those off, I get that fix, right? I get that shot of woo. I get that feeling of pride. My self-image and self-esteem comes up. I start to see myself as more valuable, right? Because I kept my word, because man, I knocked my whole list off. And then if I only get to 2 of those things, guess what? The other one, that one stays on the list the next day. But I don't start the day until I have it finished. Most of us, we go into a situation with no idea what's going on. We don't plan, we don't prepare, and we set ourselves up for failure. Because then we become overwhelmed, and then that stress that we talked about in the beginning. Because if you weren't here in the beginning, what I said was procrastination is a form of stress relief, right? So that overwhelm shows up, we start to get stressed, and what do? That's when procrastination comes in. That's when we'll substitute an easier, right, a less stressful task. You know what I mean? We substitute that for we substitute the thing that we were supposed to do, that we wanted to do, that we said we were going to do, for something less stressful. So procrastination is stress relief. So anyway, don't start until you're finished, right? We're talking about being intentional, right? We're talking about, we got a question in here. Let me look at this. I'm gonna get to that later. Beautiful question. Don't let me forget that. And then the next thing is schedule it. Schedule your time, right? If it's something super important, schedule your time. Use technology as your friend. I have alarms in my phone that go off periodically throughout the day. They're generally reminders for me to check my emotional state. You know what I mean? And and I do that, right? Anytime I'm in line, anytime I'm at a red light, anytime I have a pause in my life, I've inserted these little triggers. Like, it's like, okay, what's going on? Where am I? How's my energy? What's happening here, right? And I transition from one thing to the next consciously. I think about the transition. Who do I need to be in this moment? Okay, and those alarms throughout the day help me to do that. And then when I have particular things to do, I schedule it and I block out that time, right? Nothing else can supersede that outside of obviously some emergency, right? And a call from my wife just to chit chat, that's an emergency. A FaceTime from my granddaughter, that's an emergency, right? I decide what's an emergency in my life, but I schedule my time and I schedule my tasks, right? So I'm keeping myself, I'm being responsible, right? And then back to YB Vic's point, make it easy, right? I make it easy. So being intentional, setting yourself up to win, scheduling, don't start until you're finished, planning and scheduling everything out, and make it easy. Here's what I tell people. Come up with an idea in your mind and then chop it in half. I'm going to write my book this year, and I'm going to sit down for 1 hour and write. I'm like, all right, cool. That's an amazing plan. We know you're not going to do that because you've never done that. How about you cut it in half? And then for a minute, we talk about 30 minutes. You can do that. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. And then I say, you know what? Now let's cut it in half again. Give you 15 minutes. Now that sounds minuscule compared to that hour, because you were talking about 60 minutes, which can be daunting in the beginning, right? But when we look at 30 minutes and you start to feel confident about 30 minutes, oh yeah, I can 30 minutes is nothing, because I was really going to do 3 hours, but I said an hour because you said keep it simple. All right, cool. You know what I mean? Blah, blah, blah. But then we break it down again. Let's just do 15 minutes, right? Let's just do 15 minutes, right? Set your timer for 15 minutes. Go. Just head down and just zone out for 15 minutes. I'm warning you, it's going to be the longest 15 minutes of your life. It's not going to go fast like that 15-minute break you get at work. This is going to be the longest 15 minutes of your life until you find the rhythm. And then the 15 minutes is going to go quick because you found your rhythm. And then we can start extending it. But let's make it easy, because it's about building the habit. It's about showing up for yourself. It's about keeping your word to yourself. It's about finding that rhythm and building that momentum, which is helping you to develop a healthier relationship with yourself, right? Which is impacting your reputation with yourself in a positive way. It's changing how you see yourself. I said I was going to write, and I sat down for 15 minutes and got some writing done. It was a sentence and a half, but I did that. And then tomorrow it might be 5 sentences. And then the next day it might be a whole page. And then the next day you might say, screw this 15, I'm going, But you have to work toward that, but start by making it easy. So that's the second thing, being intentional, right? And next day, I'm gonna get to your question at the end. That's a really great question, which is, it encompasses everything, right? So let me get a swig here. We're gonna talk about the third thing that'll help us to defeat procrastination. So we said we're going to honor ourselves. We said we're going to be intentional. And the third thing, we're going to put ourselves on the hot seat. Yep. We're going to put ourselves in the hot seat. Why is that important? We're going to tell someone, or screw it, everyone, what it is we want to do, what we intend to do. We're going to share a piece of our plan with everyone or with someone, right? This is what we're going to do, right? Why is that important? Because what we want, we want those people to help keep us accountable. Because what I've learned is accountability leads to responsibility, right? Accountability leads to responsibility. To be accountable means you're required to justify your outcomes, right? You're required to justify something, right? So if I'm keeping you accountable and I'm saying, yo, well, you said you was going to do this. What's going on with that? And you're like, you know what? ... I'm holding you accountable, right? You're required to justify your actions and your decisions. And then what happens is that accountability builds up, and then you start to become responsible. Responsible is capable of being trusted, right? You're capable of being trusted to handle. So I don't have to check in weekly, because now you're in a rhythm. You do that. You're a man of your word, right? You've been showing up. You've been doing your thing. So accountability leads to responsibility. So it's vitally important that we put ourselves on the hot seat. If we want to move forward, one of the best ways to do it, if we want to kill procrastination, put ourselves on the hot seat, right? Find some people, and you need people who are actually going to challenge you, right? I'm talking about, listen, get a coach, get that friend that's going to actually call you out on your crap, your business partner, whoever. Get somebody who is actually going to really keep you accountable. Not that nice, sweet cousin of yours, or not that nice, sweet wife of yours, or not your husband who feels like he's picking on you. Like, I'm not a good accountability partner for my wife. I'm just not. Because I handle her with care. But she has an awesome friend group, and they kick each other in the behind. They push and challenge each other. So be wise, right? If she say, babe, I need you to help me be accountable. Okay, I'll remind you a little bit, but I'm not the person that's really going to push and challenge her. Now, if one of y'all If one of y'all hire me to keep y'all accountable, you're gonna get it done. Or you gonna tell me, no, I'm good, man. Go on about your business. You ain't gonna keep calling me, checking me. You ain't gonna keep calling me, pushing me to do better. So find someone who is invested and is going to do that, right? So it's vitally important to put yourself on the hook, right? Make yourself accountable to some people until you become responsible, right? Make yourself accountable. Accountability, thank you for putting that in there, leads to responsibility, right? And listen, we're not being responsible, right? We're not capable of being trusted to execute on the things that we want and need to execute on, or else we wouldn't be talking about procrastinating, right? We keep substituting that stressful thing, right? Because we've made it stressful in our minds with something less stressful. So a way through that is to put yourself on the hook, share it with some folks, and pardon me, and have some people, like, put yourself in the hot seat, right? Have someone that's going to check in. I'm telling you, I encourage, listen, what really helped me turn the corner on some things, because I had some things where I was knocking it out the park, and I had some things where I was slacking, right? I was really slacking. When I exposed those things, right, to my coach, and I started getting those daily check-ins, boom, 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 the heat was turned up. And I'm like, all right, let's do it, right? Because now it becomes a game. Now you challenging me. Hold on, all right, say less, right? Now it becomes, you know what I mean? And so now it's like, now I'm on it. Now I'm hitting him up. Hey, got A, B, and C done. Also did a little E. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, boom, 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 boom. So, but initially, I needed that push. I needed those accountability check-ins, because I was really slacking. I was leaning into things that I felt were simpler or easier for me, and I was avoiding some of the things, right? Which is what procrastination is, right? I was managing my stress by doing something that I decided was less stressful. So, all right, let's do the questions. You got stuff falling right here. That's all right. We keep it pushing. So let's see. We got a couple questions in here. Oh, wait. We got a comment. Okay, trust. If you're a procrastinator, then you're probably attracted other procrastinators. If you're in a circle with 5 broke people, you'll definitely be the 6th one. Right. So this is great point. So this is where wisdom comes in. And this is why I said you have to, like, come on, you have to be an adult about this, right? You have to be a mature, responsible adult about this, right? Again, don't pick those people who aren't going to keep you, some people won't keep you accountable, because then it means that they have to do what they have to be responsible or accountable, right? Because how's the conversation usually go? Sean, you said you were going to do A, B, C, X, Y, Z. Yeah, boom, boom, boom. I got A, B, and C done. X, and I got a little bit stuck on Y, but I'm doubling down. Boom, boom, boom. All right, that's what's up. You're going to come back. Hey, you said it turns into a two-way thing. So if I don't want you checking me, I'm not going to check on you. So if you're in, like you said, if that's what your circle looks like, so you have to know. Sometimes it's good to make the investment, right? I'm telling you, sometimes it's good to make the investment, because sometimes we need that jump start, right? We need a month or two of boom, 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 boom until we find our rhythm. And I'm telling you, it can be life changing. So yes, that's absolutely a great point. That's why I said, like, I'm not the best. I'm not the person to be my wife's person, right? We can talk. I can help. I can give her information, but I'm not going to, like, really push her like that. I just, it's my sweetie. I'm just not going to do that, right? But I know. But here's the thing. I'm comfortable not being the person, because she has a tribe, right? If she didn't, then my approach would have to be different, right? But it doesn't at this time, because she has such an amazing crew, right? And that's what they do for each other. So anyway, let's see here. Responsibility means capable of being trusted. Exactly, right? I'm a responsible adult. That means you can trust me to handle my business. And that ain't an easy thing. Okay. So one of the questions is, How do we tell the internal voice to shut the hell up? It's like, it's for real. That voice, that I call it, that tape is playing. That record is playing. It's blasting, right? But self-care, right? Becoming responsible, right? Showing up for yourself, building momentum. What happens is, so those voices, I still hear them. I was sharing yesterday about that whole who are you, dot dot dot, that whole question of worthiness. It shows up every day. But the more I work on myself, the more I invest in myself, the more I put in, right, the quieter it becomes. So once upon a time, it was so loud and stressful that I just wanted to bang my head against the wall. Now it's a whisper, right? Now it's trying different angles. Now it has to get creative to slow me down. But that's because I've been investing, right? Because I have the momentum. I've been putting in the work. I've been running the miles. I've been doing the push-ups. So I've been doing the reading and the studying. I've been showing up for myself. So now I've developed healthy habits, right? And these healthy habits turn down the volume. It never goes away. The self-doubt never goes away. If anyone tells you that, they're lying. The self-doubt never goes away. It gets quiet. It gets quiet, but it never goes away. It never goes away, right? Without doubt, there's no need for faith. So doubt is okay, but you want to get it under control, and you want to get it down to a whisper, right? You want it to have to get creative, right? The doubt can't just run up on me and just challenge me, because I'm in a rhythm. I've developed these healthy habits and I show up for myself. And now here's another thing. What that does is, as I'm developing these habits, I'm proving to myself that I can change. I'm proving to myself that I have it in me to do it. I'm proving to myself that, that whatever is going on, wherever I am at a given time, I can change the direction and do some things. I'm proving that to myself. So now when I'm faced with a test, trial, or challenge, right, I have the belief that I can. But that takes me showing up. So now when those creative tests show up, right, because the simple stuff doesn't even move me. I don't even see the simple stuff because I'm on a different wavelength, right? I'm on a different frequency. So some stuff I didn't even see or hear or even feel that. That didn't even affect me. But sometimes it gets creative, right? It'll come through something else, right? There'll be something else. There'll be some kind of roadblock. Something will impact someone, and then it'll impact me indirectly. And then I'll have to, you know what I mean? It gets tricky, but it's like, no. I have to keep going. Because I've proven to myself that I can. So yes, that voice is so quick to speak because, because we haven't developed those healthy habits, right? And we haven't been developing, or we haven't been utilizing our tools. Here's what I find. We have information, we have life experience that we can draw from. We have access to people and information, right? We have answers, right, to the questions that show up in our lives. But here's the thing. What we often do is the thing shows up, and like, I think I shared this before because I remember this little backpack thingy. You have your tools in your backpack. The trouble, we'll call it trouble, shows up, and instead of me swinging one arm out, going in my backpack and remembering and using my tools, I just drop my tools and let the thing just chase me and have its way with me. So oftentimes we just haven't been executing, or we haven't been using our tools. This is why this kind of stuff happens. You ever have someone reach out to you with an issue that's very, very similar or exactly the issue that you're being challenged with, and you can write them this amazing prescription to help them? And I mean, they go away and they execute, and boom, and you did that. You changed that person's life. But you have the very same issue. And you haven't applied that same information to yourself. You haven't written yourself that very same prescription. And then the question is, well, why? Right? Well, the answer is, when I come to you and say, I'm struggling with XYZ, you are writing me a prescription to deal with XYZ based on where I'm at. Boom. When it's you, you have the burden of your backstory and those loud ass voices, right? That you're talking about, right? Those voices are haunting you, and they're reminding you of the last 400 times you got it wrong. They're reminding you of all the times you lied to yourself. They're reminding you of this and that and this and that. And they get really loud. And now that simple prescription that you wrote for me, you feel like, nah, it's not going to work for me because ... And I would do that, but ... And so that's why we have things like that happen. But the more we show up, right? Because it's about developing confidence, right? Where does confidence come from, right? Doing it, showing up and doing it over and over. Engagement and feedback can be encouraging and reinforce challenging beliefs. So I become more confident. That's very well said. I become more confident the more I show up, right? Yesterday we talked about, clarity comes from engagement, not thought. So the more I do, the more action I take. Remember yesterday I said action is the cure-all? The more I do, the more I execute, the more I show up, the more I develop my self-confidence, right? The more feedback I get, the more I see that, oh, this actually works. I actually handled that quite differently than I would have 6 months ago. There's something to this. Let me read that again. Now it has a different meaning because I've matured, I've grown, and I have that experience. Okay, boom, now I'm ready. Then the thing shows up again, boom, boom, boom. I use my tools in a different way because now I have more perspective. Now I grow, right? And then that thing that was once like in my way, now I'm using it to step up. It's now helping me to grow and become a better me. So that voice is never going to go away, right? Like we're never going to stop being tested and tried and challenged in life. So what we have to do is learn how to conduct ourselves in the midst of those storms, learn how to become so sharp, right? And the way, how do we get sharp? Practice, showing up, doing it, and doing it, and then it just becomes a routine, right? Then it just becomes our norm. And now, again, what we're doing underneath of all of that is we're changing our image of ourselves. And now we see ourselves as the type of person who can handle these tests, trials, and challenges. So you yelling at me doesn't move me, right? And so the doubt, it gets a little quieter the more confident I become. And the way I become more confident on how that shows itself, what's really happening is beneath the surface is that I'm seeing myself as a person who can do that, right? I'm trusting my skills and abilities, right? I'm seeing myself as a person who keeps their word. I'm seeing myself as a person who can manage their emotions. I'm seeing myself as a person who knows how to govern themselves according to the situation, right? I'm seeing myself as a person who ... So it's all about developing that image of yourself, right? And building on that and building on that and building on that. And that changing is what gets the voices to quiet down, right? What gets that I'm not capable and that I'm not worthy, right? What I call the destroyers of men, right? That all that drama going on in our ear, right? It gets quieter and quieter. And then what gets louder and louder is the repetition, right? It's the work that I'm putting in. It's what I'm reading. You know what I mean? It's those things. So what we're doing is just it's like playing with the EQ. It's like those things are going down and these positive things are going up. So it's a matter of, but we have to do so much work because life has kicked our butt in such a way that our image of ourselves is so damaged, and it impacts everything that we do, everything that we think, everything that we say. So got to get that self-image up. Let's see. So when you negotiate with that voice is doubt, sounds so intelligent at times and reason to me. Here's the thing. Here's the thing about it. It's truth. When you're reminding yourself of something, it's usually the truth. So I ain't one of them people that tell you the devil is a liar. No, that's why I say don't negotiate with yourself, because you have too many facts. You have too much evidence against you. So I say never sit down at the negotiation table with yourself, because you have think about it, right? I'm going to start this new business. I'm going to do this, or I'm going to lose 20 pounds. I can do this. And that voice is like, word. You said that New Year's 2021, New Year's 2020. You said that, 6 months before your vacation, and you're going to remind yourself of the last 87 times that you said you was going to lose some weight. That's factual. It may be exaggerated, right? It may be packaged in a way but there's truth at the core of it. Because if it was, listen, I've never smoked a cigarette in my life. You can't threaten me about a cigarette. You can't, there's no connection to me. But if we talk about procrastination, right? If we talk about fear of failure and fear of success, if we talk about feeling unworthy, right? If we talk about having poor self-esteem, if we talk about losing your identity, right? If we're talking about not speaking up for yourself, I can go on and on and on, right? If we're talking about things that have a connection to me, it's based in truth. So you're not sitting around, you aren't lying to yourself. It's based in truth, because again, if it wasn't, it wouldn't move you. So that's the dangerous thing. And that's why I'm so anti-excuse, right? Because excuses, they're based in truth. Why didn't you go to the gym? I was sleepy. You really were sleepy. That's a true thing. It's still an excuse. You still get your butt up. So what? You were sleepy. Go anyway, right? But you were sleepy. That's true. Well, you said you were going to, yeah, I know, I just didn't feel like it. You really didn't feel like it. So whatever it might be, it's usually based in truth. That's why it's able to have an impact, right? If you know that you've been genuine with me, if you know that you've been straight up, and I say, you cheated me out of my money, you owed me more than that, you're like, Reese done bumped his head or something. You're not even going to be moved by that. You may be insulted, but you're not going to feel like, oh man, did I cheat him out of his money? You're not going to question that if you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you did not, right? So it has to connect to something inside of you. So it's usually based in truth. Let's see, we had another question. Sometimes the procrastination is due to you not having that thing that you're crazy in love with. I see what you're saying. So sounds like you're saying, because we haven't identified that thing that sets us on fire, we tend to procrastinate. So I believe that there's truth to that, but I believe that that's not the full picture. Because if that was the case, right, those of us that know what we want to do, we procrastinate too. So yes, that's a piece of it. But really, it's that we have a habit of procrastinating. Again, it's stress management. So we are avoiding the stress of taking that action. So no, that's a great point. But I don't want to let people off the hook who haven't quite yet found their thing. Because here's the thing. If you say you're going to do something, it doesn't have to be your magnificent obsession. It doesn't have to be the thing that sets you on fire. If it was only the thing that sets us on fire that we procrastinate with, then that's a different conversation. But I challenge that with it's so many things, right? It's anything that brings stress into our lives, right? That we've decided that this was more stressful than this, so I'm going to do this. It's like, why, when you know the dangers of this, and there's another option available to you, why do you stay in this? Well, because you're comfortable in this. You're comfortable in this. Yes, you know and understand the danger. I don't know. Yes, this seems better, and logically this seems like the way to go, but I don't know. And the stress of that, or the stress of the journey. And whatever we do in our head, whatever picture we paint about what it will look and feel like to go from here to here, we decide, man, you know what? I'm just gonna stay right here. Right? I'm gonna just do something over here to make me feel a little good, to relieve the stress of trying to get here. So that's a really great point, and I'm glad you brought it up. But I just want to put that out there that no, that's not it. It's again, procrastination is just stress management, right? It's a way to relieve the stress. So now, again, that's when we have to look at these things. Okay, so how do we tackle this? How do we push through this? And I always talk about defining and then redefining. So we define what it is, and then we redefine it as just a way to manage stress, right? And then we said the first thing is to, of course, honor yourself, right? That's always the first thing in whenever I'm teaching or whenever I'm coaching or working with someone, is learning to honor yourself, right? Even adopting what the hell does that even mean? So honor ourselves, right? Honor ourselves. Learn to treat ourselves with that care and kindness and that love and respect that we would treat someone who we hold in high regard and great esteem, right? Treat ourselves like someone we're responsible to care for, right? That's the one I say. I like that one. Treat yourself like someone you're responsible to take care of, like you're like someone you're responsible to care for, right? There's things that you would do for your children because you feel like you're responsible to care for them, but yet we neglect ourselves. We have to treat ourselves like someone we're responsible to care for. And so that's a part of honoring ourselves, keeping our word to ourselves, right? Preparing, doing what we would do, right? For the people in our lives or the people that we see out in the world that we hold in high regard. And then the next thing is be intentional, right? We have to intentionally push forward. We have to intentionally, do the things to win, right? To move the ball downfield. One of those things is setting ourselves up to win, right? Set up our environment to win. Evaluate the people, places, and things in our lives and adjust accordingly. Hire and fire and, promote and demote and move and maneuver and set up the people, places, and things in your life for your success, right? And then we have to plan, right? Don't start until you're finished. You have to plan. Go in with a plan of attack. And it doesn't have to be nailed down to the letter. But most of us, we just show up. I'm going to do this. What you going to do? I don't know, but I'm going to make something. Well, we have to have a plan. What do you want to do? We have to start investing a few minutes to plan out our days. So what I learned is don't start the day until you have it finished. So tonight, I'll have tomorrow planned out. I'm not gonna wake up tomorrow and say, oh, what am I gonna do today? No, I'm not gonna do that because I'll end up wasting time, right? I'll end up managing the stress of figuring that out with doing something that may or may not be important, right? Schedule time, right? Block out time and stick to it, and then make it easy, right? Whatever you think you want to do in your head, cut it in half. Deal with that and then cut it in half again and start there. You want to set yourself up to win, right? You want to get some wins, make it easy. And then, what was the third? Put yourself in the hot seat, right? Put yourself on the hot seat and make an announcement about what you're going to do, whether it's publicly, whether you post it on your timeline and share the journey with the world, or whether you have some people in your life who you trust to keep you accountable, who are going to call you out, who are going to check in, who are going to push you, right, and move you forward. Because like I said, accountability leads to responsibility, right? So you being accountable, right, you being required to justify your decisions and actions, right, to whomever is going to help you become accountable, right, leads to you becoming responsible, which is capable of being trusted to do the thing, right? So I'm going to push you for 2 months consistently. And then after that, you got this. Now you have the momentum. You're in the rhythm. You're doing the thing, right? So those are 3 things that I believe can help you literally to get a grip on and ultimately eliminate procrastination. Because again, procrastination is stress management. So we're just going to change the way that we manage the stress of life, the stress of the tasks that we have in front of us. Any more questions? I really, really appreciate the questions and comments and feedback. Any questions I can answer? Anything about anything I mentioned, something I mentioned made you think about or remind you of. The questions that came up so far were amazing. Thank you. What other questions? I'll be moving around. My little rug be moving. Be a lot going on over here. But I'm pushing through, Any questions? Yes, reflect on the growth. Exactly. It's like, wait a minute. Yeah, you know what? 3 months ago, that would have took me somewhere. That would have brought me out of my zone. I would have responded like a nut. I would have responded with like energy. Now, that doesn't even move me. Go me? Okay, that's what's up. Yeah. What else? Where else can I get a win? Where else can I show my emotional maturity? What other areas have I grown? Well, find that rhythm, that momentum. Pardon me. Anything else? No, doesn't look like it. I'm gonna wait another second or two. This was good. This was really good. These sessions are really, really great for me because they help me stay sharp, and I'm always first partaker. So it's always a moment for me to evaluate my life and to turn up the heat on myself, right? And to really make sure that I am living out the things that I'm, practicing what I preach, so to speak, right? That I'm always the one, because I don't share anything. I share my experiences, right? The things that I share are things that help me to grow and transform and become a better version of me, right? So that's why it's not, the quote unquote usual and customary instructions, right? So, these sessions have been really, really great for me, and I'm getting, just showing up and the consistency and standing the entire time, and just, these are really, really helping me in the depth. I'm big on depth, right? And I'm filling this space because I'm waiting to see if anyone has a question. Oh shoot, let me check over here. I've just been not even looking at the YouTube thing. Pardon me. Okay, so uh-oh. Anyway, that thought escaped me, whatever it was. Anyway, so it doesn't look like anyone has any questions. Pardon me for that thought that went in. Again, I'll have 38 thoughts at once. My mind is going. Depth is what I was talking about. I'm really big on depth, right? Surface stuff to me, okay. Common sense stuff to me, okay. That's a start. That's the sign on the door. But let's open the door. Let's go in there and let's get down to the nitty gritty, right? And let's start to break up that ground and really, really get to the root cause of these things and deal with those things. Because if the foundation is right, if the fundamentals are right, then everything else becomes simple. So I'm all about those fundamentals. I'm all about that foundation being in order. So anyway, no questions. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your Friday, and have a wonderful weekend. And I will be back. Monday's a holiday, but so what? I'll be here Monday. If anyone has a subject that they'd like me to go into, please hit me up. Send me a message with your question or with the subject matter, and I'll gladly stand and deliver and give some insight on that particular thing. All right. Peace out. Have a great one.